Now that we're done downloading Python, it's time for us to actually check it out and write a little bit of Python code. To do that, we use a IDE or integrated development environment, and we're using the one that comes with Python. It's called idle. Um, but what I want you to know is there's tons of them out there. There's tons of open source ones. There's ones that you could pay for if you want to pay for it. Luckily, there's a lot of open source out there. One popular one, Microsoft, is given out as open source, and it lets you do Python, SAS, Java, variety of other languages. It's called Microsoft Code, and that's really popular. But the one that I see most often is idle, probably because it comes with Python, is bundled together. So that's the one that probably most people use, and it's the one we're gonna stick to in this course. As you go out and start, doing data science, web development, or whatever you decide to do with it, even home development, things you're doing at home, whatever, you might find a particular IDE that you just love, for whatever reason, whether it's a flashy icon, whether it just has really nice look to it or whatnot. Um, lot of things out there, a lot of choices for everyone. Now let's go find idle on your computer. Look it up here. Okay, see the Python folder, and I can see idle. I can see Python itself. I can see manuals. I can see documentation. So I'm just gonna click on idle really quick, and now what you see is it pops up in what we call the interactive shell, and that's really what we're going to talk about first before we actually get into making a program, saving a program, and all that. We want to look at this interactive shell, see some of the things that it does, and some of the things it can be used for. If I go into the shell and I type in 7 plus 7, send it to the Python interpreter, and we'll get 14. I could go 7 minus 7. 0. I could even go 7 times 7, 49. 7 divided by 7, 1. Interesting. Now I know what you might be saying is, wow, that's a lot to do to get a calculator. There's probably one comes with whatever operating system you have. But it's really more than a calculator. You can send lines of code to it, and a lot of times during testing of a large program, someone might test one line of code here, or you're working on some sort of formula, and you're just using this kind of test the water without having to run the entirety of maybe a large program. So it's really helpful. And it's something that you as a Python developer, you'd probably use, but its use is not apparent right away, because I mean it does look like a big calculator. And in Python, here's to get exponent, like 2 to the second power, the double stars. You could also do kind of like a floor division. Like, let's say you decide to have 15 divided by 7, and that's 2.1428, and it kind of goes on for a ways. but you're really not interested in anything other than the 2. So if I put double division there, you can see how it knocks off everything and basically floors it. So that's a useful thing when you're doing your programs. And like I said, the shell is a way to test it. Now, there's also some more sophisticated math functions I heard about in Python. One of them is square root. So if we go math dot square root of 4, and I'm missing one step here, and it's going to give us error, but I just want to give you an example of that. Oh, it has no idea what math is at first. Some of the basic things are built in, but some of the more advanced functions come in these things we call modules. And to import these modules, you could actually make your own modules, and we will be doing that later in the course. So we're going to import a kind of a basic module called math. And now in this session, in this shell, we have all the functions and all the extra things to Python available in this module math. And one of them is that square root. So I'm going to go math dot square root of 4. And it returns the square root of 4. Now that we have imported it. Now if we look at the shell, it does a variety of other things, and there's some options we have, and one of them is restart shell. I'm just going to hit it. And what that does, it sets, if you typed in multiple lines, you had some things that you may have not been interested in, or you imported a whole bunch of various Python modules that you don't want to be associated with, it just gives you a clear start. So now, if I try to do another square root, let's say I want to do the square root of 16. Get an error saying that it doesn't know math again, and that's because we restarted the shell back to its initial state. So if you do a restart, you're going to have to import anything again that you might want to use. So now if I go math dot square root of 16, bingo, we get it 4. Let's look at some of the other options. We have view last restart. Okay, let's say we did a whole bunch of things. 1 plus 1, I just have a whole bunch of 2 plus 7. I'm doing a whole bunch of extra lines just to give you an example here. 7 times 7 again, and a whole bunch of extra lines. So if we want to view last restart, click on that, and it basically puts us back to the last time we restarted, because the shell could go quite a long way. So if you've been playing around, restarting and doing stuff all day, that option just takes you back to the last restart. Now look in here, we have another option, interrupt execution. Now that would be if something's running in the shell that we want to make it stop running. So let's do some, and don't worry. I'm gonna jump a little ahead to put us in an actual loop, and we learn about loops and how to do them later in this course. But for now, I'm just going to make us a condition where we have it stuck doing something we might not want it to. So I'm going to say while 0 is equal to the value of 0, add 1 plus 1. And we know that 0 is, well, it's going to be always equal to 0 unless we do something to it. And in this little piece of code, I'm not doing anything to it. So I hit that, and bingo, we are running, and you can see it down at towards the bottom of the screen. It is going, and it's going to basically go forever. And I'm going to interrupt it now. You'd also hit Control C to do this. And so we had a keyboard interrupt. Sometimes intentionally you get in that situation in what we call infinite loop. It runs forever, but a lot of times unintentionally. And like if you're testing a whole bunch of things, and you write a piece of code, and some gets goofed up a little, and it's just going on forever and won't stop in the shell. That this is where what we do. We can interrupt. You could also just end the whole program, but maybe you don't want to do that because maybe you spent time doing imports or whatnot, or maybe you have little pieces of sections of code up here that you want to cut out and eventually use those small sections of code in a bigger program. And then that's what we're going to talk to about next. This is the shell that lets you test things, but our next step is to actually go and make a real program.